You're listening to Soap Dirt, the latest in television entertainment news.
Hey, Sister Wives fans. Mykelti and Tony Padron revealed in real time this week that they have been offered their very own spinoff. But there's a problem. They cannot get past one clause in the contract. It's a roadblock. It's a deal breaker. And before we get into what Mykelti and Tony are not willing to do to land their own TV series, please click that subscribe button. So Mykelti said that fans almost had a spinoff with them to look forward to. You know, her and Tony were going to be on there, and their twin toddlers, Archer and Ace, their 3-year-old daughter, Avalon, all of them could have made it onto our TV screens on TLC, but it is not happening, and it is for a couple of big reasons. One, family related and emotional, and one just kind of shocking and funny. So let's get into it. Mykelti was reflecting back on her own childhood and what it was like to have the Sister Wives cameras following them around, Kody, his wives, all the kids. And guess what? Mykelti didn't like it. The daughter of Christine and Kody said that, when she got older, she thought it was cool. But as a kid, she didn't like those cameras so much. And so for this reason, Mykelti was not sure that she could subject her kids to the TLC cameras. However, they did say that if the network had offered them enough, offered Tony and Mykelti enough money, well, she said she and Tony might have done it. And Mykelti also talked about the upside of filming with the same crew that was around when she was a child. So it's been over 15 years of them filming her, her mom, Christine, all her siblings, and Mykelti got to know the crew very well. And apparently it's mostly the same crew that has been filming Sister Wives all this time up until today. So the crew became like extended family for Kody's children, but still Mykelti, she didn't think it was a good idea for her kids to grow up with cameras in their faces being part of their childhood. But that actually wasn't the big deal breaker. Instead, it was what she and Tony would have had to do to get this spinoff, something very personal, something she found appalling. They would have needed to become a polygamous family. Wow. So imagine being offered a spinoff TV show and then them telling Mykelti, all you need to do is go find your husband another wife. As if. To be clear, Tony was against this every bit as much, if not more, than Mykelti was. And what's funny is she said she and Tony discussed it, and we're talking about how they could fake it for the cameras. If the financial offer was enough to justify it, pretend. And Tony spoke up and said even faking it wouldn't work because of Mykelti, but she disagreed. She was telling Tony that she could act. So Mykelti was insisting she could pull it off, but Tony actually wasn't thinking about her acting skills. No, his thoughts were about jealousy, not his jealousy, but Mykelti's. It seems like Tony didn't think Mykelti could handle another woman in their house just even pretending to be his plural wife. But Tony's real wife, said as long as his fake wife went home to her own boyfriend or husband, whatever, when the cameras were off, that she would have been okay with it, because Mykelti knew that Tony would still really be all hers and only hers. But once again, Mykelti could see this happening only if there was a huge chunk of money to justify it. So after she and Tony went back and forth about the possibility of them having a Sister Wives spinoff of their own, obviously the big deal breaker was pretending to be polygamist, because Mykelti and her husband have zero interest in Tony taking on more wives. And the fact that not one of Kody's grown kids is dipping into plural marriage is a very strong statement on just how long the buildup to the breakup of his other 3 marriages happened and how it affected the kids, what they saw over all these years. Because if polygamy had been all wine and roses, well, you would think that Mykelti and or some of the other grown kids would be exploring it, but they're not. And neither are Mary or Janelle or Christine. So to say that Sister Wives has failed as a marketing tool for plural marriage is an understatement. The only person still thinking about the possibilities of polygamy seems to be Robin Brown, and she's a maybe. So unfortunately, it doesn't look like we're going to be seeing Mykelty and Tony on their own TLC spinoff. However, we do have an update on the main Sister Wives series. Mykelty and Tony confirmed that Sister Wives season 20 is already filming. They've already filmed scenes for it. As for season 21, well, I guess that's going to depend on whether they can drum up enough drama to keep fans interested as season 20 begins to air. Because with Kody's other wives gone, with no drama and no fighting, what is there to watch?
Thank you for being a loyal listener. Follow us wherever you get your podcast, because you don't want to miss the next episode. Soap Dirt is on all the major podcast platforms, including Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and more.